Hi, I just wanted to really put out a request there for those of you that came to join the Jehovah's Witnesses later on in life and didn't grow up in the organisation. I just really wanted to ask about your stories as to what it was that brought you to the truth, and subsequently what it was that led you back out again. I suppose that everyone's story's a different one, and the reasons why they first got into it are very many and varied ones. All I can say is that going by my experience and why I joined and why I got involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses was, as far as I'm concerned, a genuine one, and that genuine need to know, to have the truth. I think at the age of 19, 20, I know that I was quite naive at that age. Um, Thought I knew everything, obviously didn't know everything. You know, when you're of that age, you think you're invincible, you have all the answers to the world, and if you don't have all the answers to the world, you think you're doing the right thing. I got involved with the whole thing because I was genuinely looking um, for something that made sense of the world in which we were living, in which we live. I knew that the Catholic Church didn't hold the truth, couldn't possibly represent the God of the Bible. And they came knocking at the door. Came knocking at the door at a time where I wasn't. I don't think I was consciously looking for something. It's not like, I was going through a really rough patch in my life where I felt, oh, I need my prayers answered, and I'm in such a vulnerable position now that, anyone that comes and tells me this story or that story, I'm going to go for it and jump on the bandwagon. It wasn't that kind of situation. I think it was just that I just wanted to do what was right. I grew up in the Catholic Church and realised very early on that the Catholic Church wasn't the truth. Um, and what they were selling, or what they were putting forward, the Jehovah's Witnesses, was plausible in my mind. I mean, after all, they showed scriptures backing up what they were saying, and it came from God's Word, the Bible, which at that time I believed to be God's Word and God's way of communicating with us. So I had no real reason to doubt what they were saying was true, but I suppose they've all been duped, really, haven't they? Like we were duped. I was duped, and I went for years and years. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 15 years, and I went knocking on people's doors, and I was duped by the organisation. I was duped by those on high, the governing body, the so-called faithful and discreet slave. Whatever they said, yeah, that was right. Didn't question it. Why would I question it? So those ones that were coming knocking on my door at that time, as far as they were concerned, they were doing what was right, and they were passing on a very, very important message. And in turn, when I became a Jehovah's Witness and I went knocking on people's doors and everything, I believed I was doing the right thing. But instinctively, there was something inside me that knocking on people's doors and insisting and selling. You're like a salesperson. You're like, you're selling double glazing, or you're selling some kind of product, and you're doing. I know I went out with some brothers on the doors that literally would put their foot in the doorway to stop the householder from closing the door on us, and that really riled me. And I thought, well, that's not right. That's not, can't go about doing things like that. Um, and I suppose if you believe something bad enough, you're going to use all sorts of kind of tactics and things to be able to push something upon someone else. And there were certain brothers and certain sisters that used the really hard sell tactic. And I was more the kind of, well, let's respect the person's point of view. Let's, step back a little bit and give them space to breathe. And what I'm trying to get to is the fact that I I became a Jehovah's Witness for genuine reasons, and I think um, Life can only teach lessons as you get older and as you learn and as you live and experience life. And at the age of 19, 20, you really haven't really experienced life. You're at the beginning of your adult life. And when you're at the beginning of your adult life, you haven't really experienced everything. All you've experienced up until that time is childhood, adolescence, school life, spending time with your peers, that they're struggling in the dark as well, not really knowing what's what or anything like that, and you have no real life experiences. When someone comes knocking at your door, promising you, paradise earth, justice will be, done finally, and we're not very far from Armageddon, so jump on this lifeboat, jump on, the ship, the Titanic. It was thought to be unsinkable, and yet it sunk. So this is sort of things also is like the Titanic. It's not unsinkable, and it will sink. And are you going to go down with it, or are you going to hold on to life? But looking on that way of reasoning, and with the humane side of the person that I am, and as time went by, would a loving God really, really destroy everyone? No. So for us, or for any religion, to go about and point the finger of judgment to others and say, you're in the wrong, you're going to be destroyed, and I can't wait until that day comes, because basically Jehovah's Witnesses, like very many other Christian religions, they rejoice in the day when they're going to be raptured, or when the end of this system comes, or when the world as we know it comes, and God wreaks judgment and havoc and everything on humanity. They revel and they enjoy, they look forward to that. If you have at heart, and if you are any kind of a person, Christian or not, and you have morals and ethics and everything, are you really going to look forward to the destruction of people? And it doesn't matter. I mean, if you think of it, the majority of people that are going to be destroyed, allegedly, are going to be people like you and me. What's the worst I've ever done? Not believed, maybe. Now, my current sin, as things stand, if you believe in the Bible and if you believe in sin and the whole kit and caboodle, my current sin is that I just don't believe. Doesn't matter that I live a good, decent, moral, ethical life and treat others the way I would like for them to treat me. It doesn't matter all those good things. That just goes out the window, because basically my crime is not believing. And if God has given me, say God, or the Creator, whoever you like to call it, the so-called God of the Bible, has given us critical thinking and skills of thinking and logic and everything, and the pieces don't fit together, I'm going to be damned to hellfire for the rest of my life because of it. So my present stand is I've done a 360-degree turn, and no, the Bible does not stand, does not make sense. The God of the Bible, the God of the Quran, the God of any religion, really, it's all man-made. But I was at a point, I suppose, being young as I was, naive, wanting answers and everything, they threw out the line, caught me, reeled me in, and that's what got me into the Jehovah's Witness thing. I was with them. I belonged to various congregations. I went out and I lived in Italy when I married. In total for 15 years. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 15 years. And now I think, my goodness, I can't believe that I got involved in something like that. I really can't. So these were just thoughts that were going through my mind as I was going about my everyday business today, and thought I'd share it with you. And I'm curious to know also your experiences, because obviously those of you that have those of you that grew up in the organisation don't have those kind of experiences. You've always ever known that from your parents, and you were brought up and grew up in that. But those of us that came to it through the evangelizing, the preaching work, it'd be interesting to know what your experiences were, what brought you to it, where you were in your life at that time, and what ultimately then brought you back out again, really. And where are you now? Are you now a Bible believer? Do you believe in any religion at all? Are you an atheist, an agnostic? Do you have your own independent way of thinking now? I can say I'm not an atheist, and I hesitate to label myself with anything. I don't like labels. I don't want to belong to any organisation. And it's not because people say, oh, you're afraid to belong to an organisation now, or you're afraid to believe in God because you've been so let down by, Jehovah's Witnesses and everything. You want to be your own person and you want to kind of be independent. That's why you're scared of religion and that's why you've rejected God. No, actually, I've not rejected God and I've not rejected a religion or anything like that. Because how can you reject something that you don't believe in? I believe that maybe there may be something ultimately that is responsible for our being here, something supernatural, something that we don't really understand. It certainly isn't any god that man has made up and has kind of worshipped over the years, over centuries, over time. I don't think that's right. So if I was to say, am I a believer? I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in any god. Do I think that there's something that basically is responsible for our ultimately being here? Some kind of force? But if it is, it's definitely not interested in our well-being. Whatever it is that has set us in motion and started us, whether evolution or some kind of creative force from some kind of supernatural being, whatever that might be, it's done its job and then it's pissed off. Basically, it's gone and it's left us to our own devices. So I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I just don't want to be drawn back into any belief system, because especially if it's a belief system that is preaching hellfire, damnation, or anything like that. The writings of the Bible, for me, as far as I'm concerned, they don't stand up to scrutiny, and people that are very well versed in Hebrew and the original languages that the Bible was written in, and scholars, they're still debating amongst themselves for and against. So who am I to even begin to try and understand anything like that? Because if the top-notch people still are pulling like a tug of war, saying yes, it's true, no, it's not, there's this evidence, there's that evidence and everything, I'm no one to be able to stand up to that kind of way of thinking. All I know is that I'm at a happier place in my life at this present moment in time. Sure or unsure about what I believe, it doesn't bother me now. All I know is that I'm a better person for it. So please get in touch, let me know your stories, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye bye.